What's up, YouTube? This is Slow Plays TCG, bringing you a deck list for Gren Maju Danger Gizmek. Haven't played this game in quite some time. Last time I played consistently was probably after Fire Kings came out. Had a big move, played a little bit, stopped, played on and off at a couple events here and there, but ultimately put the game down for a while. Started playing Duel Links pretty consistently, made me really want to play the TCG again, and really I fell behind quite a bit. Didn't really understand some of the new stuff, haven't paid attention to the format, so jumping into it, I picked up a couple structure decks first, got wrecked. Decided that I wanted to dive in deeper. So I was keeping an eye out on a couple decks that I may have wanted to play. Ultimately, I noticed Gren Maju was a thing, which was pretty insane because back in the day, it was a pretty cool card. Didn't really gain too much traction, but now I see it is alive. Now, of course, following YCS Portland, this deck will resemble a little bit of it, but minus the Strombergs. Now, I've been messing around with different builds, some that were fun, some were cool, 50 card build, 60 card build. Ultimately, I landed on this after seeing the Portland build, because it seemed pretty consistent. I like the idea of the danger cards. Now, Stromberg, I would have loved to mess around with, but didn't want to mess with the time to try and get it. Other than that, a few different tech choices here. Not going to really go in too deep into it right this moment, but maybe if I make a report later about how I did at my regionals, which I went 5-2-1, placing 27th out of 200, which was pretty cool for me because probably one of my best performances at a regional. And unfortunately, I missed my invite by 3 spots, but I think that's pretty much what's going to want to drive me to keep playing. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. I'm going to move these guys off the side here. We're going to start with the main deck, which is 40 cards. We're going to start here with the big guy himself, Gizmek. Oh my goodness. When I first saw this card, I thought it was awesome. Seeing what it could do in terms of being a quick effect summon. Kind of fun to mess around with. Your opponent sometimes doesn't know, obviously, if it's in your hand, or if it's in your grave, they don't realize that you can do it during their turn, which is something I ran into a few times at my regional. I love the removal effect. Didn't really come up often, but still useful in certain situations. But definitely an essential to a Gren Maju build for sure. Next is going to be my Danger Engine, which is not large. At one point I was running Nessie, found that it wasn't really necessary. So I went ahead and took it out. There is a different build that has more level 7 for rank 7 focus, but that's for a future video. Now we're going to look at the engine being 3 Bigfoot and 3 Thunderbird. Now, of course, them being level 8 is important because of our draw power, but as well as their effect to remove cards off the board. Bigfoot for face-ups, Thunderbird for face-downs, definitely helped out a lot. Of course, them being big bodies is really nice as well, too. Removing stuff off the board, but not being able to take care of the life points, you kind of need to mix and match there. But definitely awesome cards. Something I saw when I did kind of peek into the game a while back when they first came out. I thought that was pretty interesting. Having a build to run them in is nice. The next card, which is really cool, is Eater of Millions. It's interesting to me how many people don't realize his ability to remove what it battles once per turn face down before damage step. I think it's really important that before damage step part that people know that it could cause a lot of problems for the opponent, which is of course good for us. Being able to remove their gurus, which happened a couple times because again they didn't know that it happened before damage step. It's pretty insane. Then of course the big chunk himself, Gren Maju. This guy gets a large. There was a point where I had him face down. Opponent obviously knew what I was playing, but still attacked into it anyway. Took a lot of damage. On the next turn, I was able to attack for game. Now, what's cool is that this deck, of course, he needs him for a big beater, but it doesn't need him to win. This deck is able to control the game a few different ways and still win without him. Obviously, it's awesome to be able to drop him, have him 10,000 plus, and just get in there for the game. Next was a tech choice that was suggested by a friend at my locals. His name is Greg. He has his YouTube channel, Wise Guys. I'll go ahead and link their channel down below. But Dimension Shifter. Now, this guy is definitely, in my opinion, one of the most underrated of the 3 promo cards from the tins. It got me free turns from some matchups, like against Orcust, even Sky Striker. Drop it in response to something they play, and if they don't have Called by the Grave, you skip their turn. If they do have Called by the Grave, that opens me up to play another one next turn, which a lot of people didn't understand that. But I think he's definitely underrated. Huge player for me. I mean, since all the dangers still work when they're discarded, even if they're removed, because they don't activate Engrave, it doesn't hurt me. It just boosts up my Gren Maju some more, gives me a free turn to play against my opponent. Next, we got the big smashy rock himself, Nibiru. At first, I wasn't playing him. Goofy, I know. But honestly, still did really well, of course. I'm 50-50 on it. It definitely helps out, especially if your opponent, for some reason, doesn't want to care and carelessly goes into their combos and gets Nibiru'd. It's pretty cool. But, I think future, I probably would just stick to side deck, maybe. I'm on the fence about it. Next, since we are a turn 2 deck, we got Pankratops. Spot removal, big guy, can bait out some negates. Otherwise, nice beat stick to help me get in for game. Next, we got our hand traps. We're going to be looking at 2 Ash and 1 DD Crow. This was a last-minute decision. Again, still trying to learn how the format works, how the game works again. Orcust was one of my struggle points for whatever reason, so I decided to play this. Shotgun DD Crow is pretty cool. It was alright. It ended up working out in some other matchups that weren't necessarily Orcust, so I don't regret playing it. Probably move it to the side. Ash Blossom, of course, is Ash Blossom, so it was good regardless. Now moving on to the spells, we got 3 Super Poly. This was insane to see go to 3. I don't think it should be at 3, but I'm glad it is for my case because, oof, man, this has won me some games. Definitely during the regional too. I want to say 2 of my matches were won strictly because of that. And then we have our draw power. We have 3 trade-in. Now we have 9 trade-in targets that it doesn't hurt to discard. I mean, if we end up discarding our Bigfoot or Thunderbird, those are removal. Gizmek, we just bring him back anyway. Then we have our 3 Pot of Desires. You'll usually only ever need to resolve 1. But otherwise, I mean, it's a draw power card, beefs up your Gren Maju. Not much more to say about it. It's Pot of Desires. Everybody knows what it does and how good it is. Then we have our 2 Called by the Grave. I wasn't originally playing this for whatever reason, but I'm glad I decided to main deck these. That's, I mean, all I really have to say about it. I was happy with 2. I don't know necessarily if I want to push 3, but maybe. Then we have our back row removal, Twin Twisters, main decking those guys. Definitely glad I kept 2 in here. I was playing 3. Third one was iffy. I may, consider going back to 3, but otherwise 2's pretty solid. And then our last 2 one-ofs, Monster Reborn and Foolish. Foolish, of course, to dump the Gizmek. You can get a little cheesy, dump the Gren Maju if you need to. Basically, dodge getting removed by Gizmek or Pot, and then Reborn's just Reborn. Definitely helped me out a lot of games to win. Now moving on to the extra deck. Most of the extra deck, of course, is going to be Super Poly fodder. I mean, there are some rank 8s that we can go into and some links that we can go into. So for our fusions, which are, again, Super Poly targets, we're going to have Starving Venom Fusion Dragon, Predaplant, Dragospellia, Mud Dragon of the Swamp, Borreload Furious, Necro Dragon, Violet Chimera, and Rampage Dragon. I played one Cyber Dragon deck. Didn't need it because never drew the Super Poly for it, so that would have been an interesting play to see, I guess. Then we have Shizuku. We'll show why, of course. Nightmare Phoenix, Cerberus, Linkuriboh, number 68, which at one point I definitely should have played that and would have blew out the Orcus matchup that I was playing against, but I read a card wrong and made a misplay. Live and learn. Then, of course, we have number 38. This guy is ridiculously good. I am glad I picked it up and put it in there. This here would be a Dingirsu. I had to borrow it for the weekend. Didn't necessarily use it, but I still would definitely keep it in there because there are points where it could have been used, but I decided to go with a different card. And then we have Omega. Obviously, this can kind of tell that in the side deck we'll have a reason to have it there. Never used it, but again, one of those cards that's cool to have, doesn't hurt to have. Worst case, we banish it with Eater. Then on to the side deck real quick. We have 3 Gamma and Driver. Now, I love this card. This card is pretty insane, and I do kind of wish I put it in the main deck. But there were a couple times where it's like I did draw the second Gamma. I'm back and forth on it. Definitely want to try it out in the main deck. Then we have 2 Sphere Mode. Now, this is kind of an odd choice considering I'm maining Nibiru, but the idea is there are going to be players that decide to play around Nibiru, shorten their summons, still end on a board that I want to take care of. So this will help. Special summon, I can run it over, leave it there, so it comes back to me. However you look at it, but it definitely still is good. As well as the idea too, again, versus Nibiru, is that that token could still be used as a link material that could probably go off again. A lot of smart players will do so. Then we have the second DD Crow. Signed in a couple times, not big deal. Honestly, I'd probably say I'd run Ghost Bells, but I didn't have them, so I'm going to try out a few more things. Then we got a couple more removal, Cosmic Cyclone, third Twister. Then our traps, we had 3 Crackdown. MVP of the sideboard, definitely keeping those guys in there. That's why the Shizuku is there as well. If I had it pulled it against Orcus, I could have taken their long Gearsu, made my Dingirsu. Fun plays. Last card was Eradicator. I have plenty of targets for it. Never really came up. Either didn't draw it or drew it when I didn't have the targets. Overall, I'll probably remove this for a couple different cards. The side deck is going to get a full revamp. I got a couple ideas for the main deck in general that I want to test out. Definitely going to continue to evolve with this deck. It was fun. Definitely a great way for me to come back into the game with. I'm going to continue onward with it, kind of mess around with it, and grow with this deck. I'll give a couple meta decks a shot as well. But definitely felt good to come back in the game, do as well as I did with it. It's just no regrets there. Now, I want to say I don't really upload often. I know that, and I haven't uploaded in a while, a couple Duel Links videos here and there. But I do want to be able to start uploading again. If I start gaining a following, for sure, I will be making a video, about my journey back into the game. If you are interested, if you're watching this, please subscribe, follow me, help me get back into it and help me understand it better. Watch me grow back into it and understand it again. It's going to be an interesting journey, and I'd love to have some followers along the way. So hit that subscribe, hit that bell so you're notified when I do upload a video. Let's see what we can do to start getting slow plays back into the game. I'll be uploading other TCG videos as well, including Argent Saga, which is another great game brought to you by ARG, Alter Reality Games. I'll link their website for Argent Saga in the description. Thanks for watching.